Alright, let's keep setting up our system. You can see we already added the DB classes table. It has a selection of a teacher, a selection of a student from the imported tables, and now we want to get that to the financials doc so that we can, and a person, an accountant, can see how many hours each teacher worked with each student. It then gets aggregated by month or by week, and the teacher gets paid out. So you know the drill. Create a view of DB classes out classes for financials. We don't have to include the student here, so we just need the teacher, the hours, the start of the class. Maybe don't need the summary either. And we need to make this readable by the payments doc. So let's just add our read all rule for anyone to read this for now. We will reinforce this later when we learn about row level security. Okay, we created the view, go to the payments doc. Not the sync, but the sync tables pro. Find the classes and import the DB classes. And sync, let's say, secret accountant. See how it replaces the name. Well, it uses the base name, but also replaces the prefix with in. This is again a convention for tables that you cannot directly write to. These are the sync tables. These are just my best practices conventions, the naming. It does not have to stay in, that's something you can change, but just like you can change the column names, but just so that you know. Okay, and now we need to read teachers. In regular crossdoc, these references would only work if you took this import of teachers and resynced it to the payments doc, because the docs have to be from the tables have to be from the same doc. That's how crossdoc would force you to do if you want these references to work. But the best practice is to always load the data from the source of truth doc, and the source of truth for teachers is the teachers doc. So we should sync, sync tables pro, a table of teachers from teachers. And it loaded a view of teachers, but the references, they still don't resolve. So right now, Coda does not have a way to resolve these automatically, and I will try my best to find a mechanism to simplify this process for you. But what you have to do now is to add a criteria on your table with broken references and use the reference mapping override. But before you do that, you need to include in the classes, you need to include each teacher's ID, because IDs get overwritten as things get synced. So you have to not just add the teacher, but add a column for a teacher. Actually, yeah, it's better to do it through a formula. Call it teacher UID, teacher row, and use the origin ID field of that teacher. And I'll talk about origin IDs in a jiffy, in a separate video. So yes, now we have the teacher UID. Don't forget to include this in the export. Okay, let's wait for this to sync to the servers. Reload the classes. Just reload once again. Try a few times before it appears in our table. And once again, because yeah, sometimes it takes a few minutes for this to get saved to the doc snapshot. Okay, here it is. So here are the teacher UIDs. And now we are ready to set the mapping. And we set it like this. The column teacher should map to doc where the teacher's table, where we are reading the teacher's table from. So this part of the URL, or you can also find this when you look into the sync path. So n underscore, or you take the URL of the doc, remove the underscore d, and take the 10 characters of the URL. This doc slash the table, the base table of DB teachers, you copy its ID. And to copy that, you have to enable developer mode slash the column name for the IDs. So teacher UID. You can see that this import is now gone. You can delete the column, but the references now work and they point to the teachers table in teachers. So all that's left is you can go and fix that to point to in teachers to remove the broken reference, and now the references work despite the fact that this table is not loaded from the classes doc, but it's loaded from its source. So the references work properly. All you have to do is, yeah, there is some manual work, and again, I will try to make it more automated if I find a way, so that this, you don't have to fish out for the grid IDs, for the table IDs, yeah, for the doc IDs, but in some way you have that presented to you, maybe as a specific sync table that you can use. That's all for this lesson. See you in the next one.